September is World Alzheimer's Month. Now, my father, Jim Marks, he died of Alzheimer's disease. It's become so prevalent today. 5.8 million Americans in 2020 had Alzheimer's disease. They're saying by the year 2060, that's going to almost triple the number of people. Alzheimer's disease is not normal part of aging. It is not normal. So we brought Dr. Chelsea Azarcon with us today to talk about Alzheimer's disease. Our brain has 100 billion cells in it. And when those cells go a little haywire, something happens.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Alzheimer's.
Yeah, it's definitely a growing problem. In the past roughly 20 years, the number of deaths from Alzheimer's disease has increased by 140%.
Wow.
Which is really staggering. But then we also have 11 million people who are providing unpaid care to family and friends with Alzheimer's disease. And that has a lot of physical and emotional health impacts, we know from the data. And so I think there's a lot of people who are impacted by this disease.
My mom certainly took care of my dad for several years.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. There's so many studies coming out that a healthy lifestyle habit can help prevent Alzheimer's. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so most cases of Alzheimer's disease are what we call spontaneous, meaning that it's not from inherited gene defects, it's actually from modifiable risk factors. So things like obesity, sedentary lifestyle, other modifiable disease conditions like cardiovascular disease, and diet. So much so that Alzheimer's disease has been called by some researchers diabetes of the brain, because a lot of the triggers that lead to diabetes can also trigger Alzheimer's disease.
So all the sugar we've been eating, all the processed food we've been eating for the past 40, 50 years is contributing to this.
Absolutely.
So what can we eat? What kind of a diet would really help us?
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about some of my favorite foods for the brain. I also love doing this in September because we've got Alzheimer's awareness and we've got kids going back to school. So no matter what your age, you can benefit from adding in these foods. So let's start with tomatoes, since those are the star of the show today. So tomatoes, we have talked about before as having antioxidants.
Lycopene.
Yes, the star antioxidant in tomatoes. And lycopene can help protect your brain from inflammation and damage. But if you look at patients with Alzheimer's disease and dementias, they actually have lower levels of circulating lycopene in their blood, and that's believed to increase the risk of death from dementias.
Okay, so get out our salsa and our spaghetti sauce, right?
Yes.
And fresh tomatoes on the sandwich.
And fresh tomatoes. We also have another fruit that has a pigment. Lycopene's a pigment in tomatoes, and this pigment is an antioxidant that helps with cognitive function, and that's blueberries.
Anthocyanin.
Anthocyanin, that's right. So research shows that just 1 cup of wild blueberries a day can help with cognitive function, because what that anthocyanin does is it increases blood flow to the brain, and the increased blood flow helps with better executive function, better focus, better memory. So if you want to kind of help erase some of those senior moments, why did I come into this room? Or you just feel like
Where
you're
are
not,
my keys?
Yes, not as sharp at your job as you used to be. Blueberries a cup a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you have some flaxseed?
I do have some flax meal here. So flax meal is a great representation of omega-3s, which are super key to brain health. Flax seeds contain an omega-3 fat called alpha-linolenic acid, which you don't need to know how to say. You just need to know what it does. So we have something called the blood-brain barrier, which is like a fortress for our brain. It protects the brain from things that would damage it. And in Alzheimer's disease, that starts to break down. So flax seeds can help protect from that, but they also do something really cool. They help us build new nerves. That's something called neuroplasticity, which is key for preventing dementias. And they do that by increasing something called BDNF, which is like fertilizer for your brain. So the takeaway is flax seeds are like fertilizer for your brain.
And then finally, you have some walnuts. Walnut in a shell looks like the brain.
Yes.
Walnuts are really good for your brain.
So we know it's good for your brain. So studies looking at walnuts show that adding them to your diet can help reduce your risk of Alzheimer's disease and reduce the risk of progression from mild dementias. And then in lab studies, walnut extract helps prevent the formation of these proteins that cause brain cell death in Alzheimer's. So, so fun.
So get up and walk, start exercising, and include a lot of, and of course, olive oil, avocado oil, very good. Salmon is good for it, right?
Lots of healthy fats and those that help regenerate brain tissue.
Okay, got 100 billion brain cells out there. Here's an 800 number for you, 800-272-3900. That's from the Alzheimer's Association. If you or a family member need help, please, 24/7, that number is available. Thank you, Dr. Chelsea, for bringing this to our attention.
Yeah, thank you.
Don't go away. Chef Adam Peckles in the house.